everybody. Welcome to episode 47 of Teens in Faith Catholic Conversations. I'm your host, Annie, and I'm joined by my co-host, Gianna.
Hey, what's up?
So before we get into this episode, we wanted to start off with our prayers. O Saint Philomena, Virgin and Martyr, pray for us that, through thy most powerful intercession, we may obtain that purity of mind and heart which leads us to the perfect love of God. Amen.
Amen.
And now the prayer to the Holy Ghost. Come, Holy Ghost, fill the hearts of thy faithful and kindle in them the fire of thy love.
Send forth thy Spirit, and they shall be created.
And thou shalt renew the face of the earth. Let us pray, O God, who hast taught the hearts of the faithful by the light of the Holy Ghost, grant that by the gift of the same Spirit we may be always truly wise and ever rejoice in his consolation through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
So, Gianna, what do we have coming up this episode?
This episode, we will be interviewing Lisa Davis from the Feast Day Quick Takes on the Catholic Family podcast. Yeah, so we don't really have anything to talk about, so we will just get right into the podcast.
Yep. Okay, so now it's time to interview Lisa Davis.
Hi, girls. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
The basics, I am the mother of 10 children and the grandmother of going on 21 children. I am a cradle Catholic. My parents found their way to the traditional faith, the real faith, and got away from the Novus Ordo when I was around 12 or 13 years old. So I've been a trad for, I don't know, let's do the math, a long time, like 40 years or so. And let's see, I've been helping with the Catholic Family Podcast for, I guess, going on 3 years now, which blows my mind. That went by very quickly. And I usually do the Feast Day Quick Takes and various other odds and ends when I have time. I also spend my retirement years babysitting a lot for my grandchildren, which is a pleasure. And I also do literature studies for the sisters in our Catholic high schools. And I'm a very bad gardener. I pretend to be a gardener.
That's funny. Wow, but I gotta know, is it hard to remember everybody's birthday since you have 10 kids and then 21 grandchildren?
No, I remember my children's usually, mostly. I remember a couple of the unusual birthdays, like the ones that are on big feast days. I remember, but the rest of them, forget it. I count on my calendar in my phone. They're a wonderful thing.
Yep. Well, yeah.
Funny, because my grandma is the exact opposite. Like she somehow remembers like someone from second grade. She will remember their birthday,
Yeah.
and or like death days, anniversaries. She was just talking about that
Ah,
the other day to my mom, and she mentioned like three people my mom didn't even know. Oh, their birthday's today,
wow.
and we're like, what? How do you
I
remember
do.
all of them?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm jealous. My brother was like that, but he got all the memory. My brother and my youngest son have like practically photographic memories. I have zero memory. I have to write everything down. I don't remember anything. So yeah, I'm very jealous of that skill. I wish I had it.
Yeah.
Same. I'm the exact same way. Yeah. So, our next question is, how did you know your vocation?
Oh wow, that's a good question. I don't think I knew it until God threw it in my lap. I think that I was one of those people that I never super seriously considered the religious life. I think partly because when I was that age, I had only known two religious sisters in my life. And I think it was not, and I think perhaps if I had gone to school with a lot of religious sisters and had had more exposure, like so many of our young people now have a lot more exposure to sisters than I did. And I think that helps with the mindset of trying a religious vocation. But I don't think I really had one then. And looking back now, it's pretty obvious that was not my vocation, because here I am with 10 children later. Um, but I think that's a good question. I think that it's an important one not to assume that you don't have a religious vocation if you don't hear bells and whistles. It never hurts to try a religious vocation. But when I was, graduating from high school, that was a really difficult thing to do. We're talking 35, 40 years ago. There just weren't, I didn't even know about any convents when I was your age. So you all are very blessed to have these options of so many wonderful religious congregations right now.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I didn't even know most of them existed, honestly. Like, I thought for the longest time where I'm located in Wisconsin, that we were the only church that existed besides like St. Gertrude's. And
Yeah.
then I started finding out about all the other ones, and I'm like, wait, they have convents there too? They have a
Yeah.
seminary? They have a
Yeah,
school? Where did this pop up?
yeah, I know.
But
It's a wonderful thing to find out, though.
yeah, definitely.
All right, so this question is actually from my mom, but she knows you have a couple of the children who have had a religious vocation, and she wants to know what are your tips on raising good traditional Catholic kids?
Oh, wow. Okay. That is a big question. I I think a lot of it, I think you don't start when a child is, even 10 years old. You start when they're born, teaching them about the faith and learning to love the faith, and not just making it a matter of discipline. Though your religion is a discipline, you do need to have the habits of a good Catholic. You just get used to the fact that you go to church on Sundays. You get used to the fact that you begin and end your day with prayer. These are disciplines. But I think that there is more than that. I think that you want to lead your children to a love of their faith and a love of the traditions, and that there's so much to love about our faith, guys. And the older I get, the more I find out. And there's the coolest stories. Did you see about St. Martha and the Dragon? I did not know about St. Martha and the Dragon until about 6 months ago. And then I was like dying for the date to come up so I could do the quick take on it. Because like how did I go my whole life and not know about St. Martha and the Dragon? There's so much to love, and there's so much to do in our faith that has been lost a lot. It was lost by the Novus Ordo. They blew it and took away all of the traditions and the word feast day. And I've said this before in other podcasts, but it's just true. What's a feast? It's a celebration in which food is involved. So this is one of the basic human things. If you teach your children through the fun of the devotions, and also, there's Lent too, which is an important thing to understand. The sobriety and the penance and the discipline of Lent is a perfect counterbalance. I mean, you need it. I mean, if you're not going to get to heaven without any penance. But the flip side of that, which a lot of people think being a traditional Catholic is all scourges and, penances. No, 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 no. If you go back through all of the traditions in Europe, every town, every village had its own special feast days that they went, just to huge extents to celebrate and decorate and make special foods for, and had special costumes for, and really cool processions like the St. Martha and the Dragon procession, which cracks me up because that dragon float is hilarious. But it's part of our heritage that so many people don't even know about. And every family can introduce these things into their family. And it's you grow up. Why would you not want to do that? If you grow up really living your faith the way the faith is really meant to be lived and the way it can be lived, by the time you're a grown up and you're starting your own family or going out into the world, you should have lived it so fully that you couldn't even imagine not wanting to live your Catholic faith, because it's a wonderful thing and it fills your heart. And not only that, it fills your stomach and it fills your days. And, and the church is so wise in giving us these things. God loves us. He doesn't want to make us miserable. And the church is so wise to give us these things to just encourage us and keep us going. And if you are raising your children that way, then they grow up and they want to stay in the faith. And if you are successful at, I think that we were homeschoolers kind of off and on. And one of the most important things about homeschooling is teaching your children to learn to love. If you teach them to be learners and you teach them to be curious, you're almost done with your job. You give them the books and you just say, go, you know? And it's kind of like that with your faith. If you teach your children to love their faith, to love our Lord, and it goes beyond your faith, because your faith is just the stepping stone to loving God, to loving our Blessed Mother. If you teach that to your children really well, and you teach them from an early age to keep their ears open to the prompting of God, to the religious life. I think that there are many, many people who were supposed to have been religious and didn't even know to listen for it and didn't live the kind of life that led them in the direction that would have made it natural for them to try the religious life. So that's part of a parent's job, is to, talk about these things and talk about keeping your ears open and getting to be good friends and meeting religious and holy religious and having them in your life helps a lot too, because then you understand that, boy, there's a whole lot of different kinds of people that become priests and sisters and lay brothers. It's not one kind of person. It's, oh my goodness, so many different types of people that you meet amongst our religious, that if you didn't know that. And when I was growing up, I had met so few. I had, I think, an idea in my mind of what kind of person was supposed to be a sister or a nun, and I was totally wrong. I mean, that kind can be a nun, but crazy sanguines like I was couldn't be nuns too. I have a crazy sanguine daughter who is a teaching sister. So,
Okay.
these are important things to know. But and that's tip of the iceberg. There's a lot, but and I can go on and on. So just shut me up.
Yeah, that was really good
Beautiful.
advice.
Yeah.
And
I can probably speak for most teens about this too, how, you know, I mean, being a teenager isn't fun. I get that. So then you want to like go to the next best thing. Oh, let's be an adult. But just like from that explanation, just being a parent and then also, raising your kids in the faith seems so, so very difficult. I mean, obviously you love your children, you love your life, but it's not something you want to rush into right away.
Oh, it's true. That's really true. And you are an adult. I told my kids this from when they were little kids, like, enjoy your childhood. You're going to be an adult for a long, long time. Just
yeah.
take advantage of it while you can. But
Yes,
it's not
I
all that
know.
bad. There are perks too. It's not all bad.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true.
My mom definitely tells me and my older brother Elias that a lot. Like, don't rush into being an adult. Like, just enjoy being 15, 16, and 17. Like, it's not that bad. But yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Mhm. No, it's true. It's true. And there's a lot. Um, every stage of life has its perks, and every stage of life has its downsides. It does. I mean, my 2-year-old nephew, 2-year-old grandson rather, thinks, that it's the end of the world if something doesn't go. I mean, his life is the hardest life. It is the
Oh,
hardest life at
definitely.
Yeah.
2. And then you get to be 16, 17, and you think your life is the hardest life. And then, every single stage, it's all how you take it. And
Yeah.
hopefully by the time you're my age, you've sort of started to level it out a little bit, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. Um, let's see. Our next question is, how do you choose good Catholic friends?
Oh, good one. Okay, that is so, so important. And it's easier said than done, especially when if you're in a Catholic high school, you even have that choice. You're going to have children who are in the Catholic high schools who are going to be good influences and bad influences. And that's not a bad thing, because that speaks to life. Once you get out of the Catholic high school, where you at least have the sisters and, you know good people to choose from, you're going to move into the big wide world. where you're going to have to really pay attention and in a conscious way choose good friends. Is there the bottom line uh, litmus test probably is this person leading me to God or away from God? And I think that you can ask that of almost everybody you meet, and you have to be honest about it. You are going to be in the workplace where you can't help but be around people, but that doesn't mean you have to spend your off hours with these people and make relationships with them. And if you know that it's someone who's going to bring you down, someone, and it doesn't take you very long before you know someone's habits. You know them by their language. Whether you like it or not, people who use foul language are generally, if not foul people, they are troubled in their spirits because, or they had an upbringing that's not going to lead you and them or you in a good direction. It's a tip off, and it's not 100%, but a lot of the time, if someone uses bad language, I would just steer away. If someone comes from a really rocky home life, God bless them and pray for them. They are almost always going to be troubled people, and they're going to be project people. And you know what they say about project people? It's not your project. You are almost never going to really reform a project person. You can pray for them and you can be a good example, but they're almost always going to bring you down. And I can tell you this from 60 years of experience. Even when you think I'm going to be a good influence for this person, I'm going to help them, I'm going to turn them around, that almost never happens. They have to want to turn themselves around. Again, God has to come into it with a lot of grace for them, and then they've got to pick up the grace and use it. But it's just you're just looking for trouble. If you meet someone who just, oh, they seem nice enough and they've got this good, this good attribute and that attribute, but you know that they come from a mess. Yeah, you're probably, I hate to say it, it sounds unkind. Pray for them and steer away from them. Sorry, kids. It is what it is. Um, what are the other things that you know? Yeah, somebody who talks badly about other people, just get away from them. If they are talking to you badly about other people, gossiping and just backbiting, they are probably doing that to other people about you. Almost always. It's this kind of person communicates in this way to get attention. And you're not the only person that they're going to be trying to get attention from. So you try to stay away from those. They're not good, candidates for good friends. I mean, you can, work with someone like that and try to stay away from the gossip. All it does is pollute your mind, and it doesn't help anything. Just get away from it. But they're not a good candidate for a friend. It should go without saying that you should try your absolute hardest to find good traditional Catholic friends. And those are going to be a better pool to draw from. However, you may still run into traditional Catholic friends who have issues that you might want to step back from. God bless them. It's just simply true. We're not perfect, and many of us are on a road, hopefully getting there. But don't pollute yourself and your own life with the misery of being around someone who's a backbiter or a gossip or somebody who's just always in a bad mood. The kind that can't find anything good to talk about. Can't just sad sacks is what we used to call them. It's just misery for everyone. God bless them, but they're not going to be a great candidate for a friend. I think that sometimes you're not going to find this stellar, wonderful, perfect, traditional Catholic, upbeat, non-gossiping, um, there's somebody that ticks off all the boxes in your parish. It's just simply true. And you may find somebody who comes really close and they're not Catholic. Okay, then what? I would proceed with extraordinary caution. More often than not in this world, the Catholic loses their faith and the non-Catholic does not suddenly convert. Almost never happens. It can. And you never know. That might be what God's calling you to do, but proceed with extreme caution. There are a lot of places now that you can make good Catholic friends, and a lot of them are going to be long distance for most of the time. If you don't have anybody in your parish, that's a great friend. I mean, go to the YAGs. There are several different young adult gatherings that are I've never been to one. They didn't exist when I was your age, but they are, by all accounts, wonderful places to make good friends. Not necessarily you're going to find the love of your life there, but you may find a friend for life there. I know a lot of people who have. Um, and then you got there. I know that there are other forums that you can connect with other children, other young adults on if you're very, very careful. It goes without saying. But it's even you want to say, oh, these are such terrible times we live in that we have to worry about. You know what? Back in medieval times, people had the same basic problems finding good friends. If you go back and you read, works from that times, the saints, even their writings from the times, they preached the exact same things that your parish priest preaches about choosing good friends, because people had the same shortcomings back then than they do now. Their bad habits may have been different because they didn't have the internet. Um, there obviously different kinds of problems, but you had the same problem in the 1200s that you have now, that you have to choose your friends carefully and just vet them. And you don't feel guilty about walking away from someone who is not bringing you closer to God and is not making you a better person, is not helping your character build. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I can go on and on. You guys have to just shut me up.
No, that was all really good. I really enjoyed that. And I actually myself struggled with having bad influences in my life and having to cut them out. So it's good to hear advice like that because yeah.
Yeah, don't feel bad about it. I mean, it's your first job is to save your soul. And then any other soul along the way is probably going to be influenced better by your good example than they are by anything you say. So yeah.
Remember where I grew up, like my dad wasn't Catholic for a while, but my mom was, or like she was like coming back to it. And so there was some conflict. Like my dad was perfectly fine with us going to church every Sunday. He didn't like have a problem with that. He just wouldn't go himself.
Mhm.
And we lived in a neighborhood where it was kind of a busybody neighborhood. So it's like, oh, are you new here? Well, I'm going to be your friend and know everything about you now.
Oh,
So I didn't have like the best influences, but then we ended up moving and we started going to this Catholic school, and I was just shocked by everything. I was like, wait, you guys take this like a lot more seriously than I thought you did. But yeah, it did definitely help me a lot in a lot of different ways. So
yeah. Yeah, but you see, the friends that you have affect you. I think even more than you realize they do. When I was in college, and I never missed mass. I stayed true to the sacraments, but I know now in hindsight that when I was in college, I became a different person. It was like the boiled frog effect. You don't even know it. You're around people that they're nice people, and I was in the nerd group. Okay, I was with the kind of that side group over there. That's not the cool group, and they were very nice people, but they didn't they didn't have the same standards I did. Like they would have been a lot softer, for instance, on the idea of abortion. They would have said, "Oh, well, maybe in the right circumstances," where, for me it was like, no, no, never. And there were a lot of things like that, standards that I had that started out very, very high, and I don't think I even knew it, because if you're going to stay friends with these people, you may not speak out against their bad opinions, but you allow it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And once you start allowing a bad opinion, a bad standard into your brain and into your heart, you don't know this is happening to you bit by bit. you get softer and softer and softer, and before you know it, you are kind of right there in the mainstream. And girls, you do not want to be in the mainstream. The mainstream's not going in a good place. You want to be fighting, you want to be swimming the other way like salmon going upstream. You don't want to be in that mainstream. But I found myself there too. And then when I got married, and my husband was a convert, but he was a really, really good person. He ended up converting. He's smarter than I am. He's like one of those people that can just study, read Thomas Aquinas, and just find the faith. That and a lot of grace that he was willing to pick up. But by the time I was raising children, and you have to really hone in on your principles when you're raising children. And I realized then, when I had to start restudying my faith, how far I had drifted away. And I had to pull myself back into line with the faith and with actual, deep belief and understanding and acceptance of Catholic teachings and Catholic, just Catholic culture. It was something that I had lost and didn't even know I had lost it until I had to look into it again. But you don't realize it, how easily you get pulled away. Sorry, I'm going off again.
No, that was good. Yeah.
No.
I
Hey,
think
this is a
that's
podcast. It's supposed to be long.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of people could for sure relate to that, including myself, because it's really true. Like, who you hang out with is basically who you become. Like, for
Yeah.
example, I did orchestra for a while,
Hmm.
and the kids there were nice people, they were fine, but they were not the best influences. And when I finally was like, okay, I need to quit, and my parents were like, this isn't good for you, you need to quit, I didn't really realize how much I had been affected by their
Yeah.
behavior until after I quit. And then I met Gianna, and I just like noticed the difference between worldly kids and then traditional Catholics, and it's insane
Right.
how much they can affect you just by being with them even for like an hour a day. Like,
Yeah, it's true. Well, their interests even are just different.
yeah.
They're going to watch movies that you wouldn't normally watch. They're going to just have conversations that you wouldn't normally have. And yeah, you'd start to take it for granted. It's true. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I'm glad you two found each other.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something here real quick. See if I can find it. There's a that I'm an English teacher, so everything kind of goes back to, and I have a terrible memory. Like I said, I have the worst memory. But there's this poem that my mother read to us when we were little kids that always stuck with me. Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty short, and I'm not wearing my glasses. So hang on. I'm going to find it. All right, St. Anthony. Anyway, you can ask another question while I'm scrolling here.
All right.
Sorry.
No
Right.
worries.
Ah,
What is
realize this was such a big chapter. I'm just going and going and going. Sorry. Oh,
what
man.
is
Hang on. Go ahead.
what's your advice to teens who feel lonely or don't have a mission with kids their age?
Oh, boy. Well, like we said, I think there are places to find Catholic friends. Um, it's up to you to vet them, and you do have to get out of your comfort zone sometimes. Um, I'm not going to name names, but there's somebody I know and love who is very, very comfortable with his friend group that, we discussed going to the ag for him to make other friends. And, if your vocation is in the married state, well, you might just have to get out of your regular friend group, because very often, especially in small parishes, you know each other so well that you're more like brother and sister, and you're not going to date your brother or your sister. So, but it's like just making that move to get out of your comfort zone sometimes is the first step that you pray on that one, and get your courage up, and then try to go to maybe if you are able to visit other parishes. It's a wonderful way of making other Catholic friends who are also looking for friends, you know?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm just kind of meandering through this book, and I'm never going to find it now that I want it.
That's okay. Yeah, that's really good advice. Again, my mom was super excited that you agreed to come on our podcast because she was like, "Oh, I have all these questions. I can't wait to ask her because she just gives the best advice." So, yeah. But
But not always. And you know what? Here's the thing, kids. It's very often the school of hard knocks because I have found out by doing things the wrong way. So,
yeah.
you get to my age and then you can sound really smart. No, 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 I'm not smart. I'm just like, oh no, don't do it that way. I did that. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's because I am a very big sanguine, and my mom's favorite saying is, "Okay, Annie, like, how do you get good at something?" And I'll always have to repeat, "You have to fail a lot to get good at something," and that's like her favorite saying. She makes me repeat probably on a daily basis, but it's really true. You have to fail a lot in order to get something right. But
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, anybody, I mean, you know the story of oh, who's the guy that invented the light bulb? Edison. How many wrong light bulbs he made before he finally figured out the right way to make a light bulb. I was like hundreds and hundreds of them. But it's true. It's true. Just sometimes try to pay attention to other people's example and take their advice
Mhm.
because you can save yourself some trouble if you do that. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, that's I think that we very often rely too much upon our own wisdom, and our own wisdom is pretty clouded, let's put it that way, by self-interest and laziness and pride and all of those things. If in doubt, talk to your mom and dad. Your mom and dad care about you more than anybody. And then if it's something that you're not comfortable talking to your mom and dad, go to your priest or the sister that might be at your church too. um, Friends can give advice, but keep in mind that their advice is not colored with wisdom or experience yet, and they may sympathize with you maybe too much on things that maybe they shouldn't sympathize with you. And a parent or a priest or a sister is going to catch you up and say, sorry, I hate to tell you, but you're thinking about this all wrong. Friends very often won't do that. I mean, sometimes a very good friend will, but very often they're going through the same thing you're going through too. And so have clouded vision over things. So yeah, don't ever be shy about talking to your mom and dad, or if you have another somebody in your church that you respect that's older and has been through stuff. Yeah, don't be shy about asking. Go out to take them out to coffee. All you got to do is offer me coffee. I will be there.
Yeah, that's good advice. That I'm sure that would work with literally every adult I know. So,
It's funny, Annie would be the same way, and she's
oh
not even
yeah.
an adult.
No, if you
She
were like, I'll
loves
take you out to
coffee.
coffee if you can come do this. I mean, I'm still 15, so obviously I'm not one to be giving advice. But in the future, if somebody were to say that, I would be like, you had me at coffee. Like, let's go.
Right? That's right. I'm so easy.
All
Oh my
right.
name.
So
I'm still looking through this book. I'm gonna find that poem if it kills me. Keep going.
that's okay, no worries. So now we're wondering, how do you deal with bad influences if like they're already in your life?
Oh boy, that is a hard one. Yeah, sometimes you have family members or like aunts, uncles, cousins that are kind of close to your family that don't follow the faith, that aren't maybe living haven't found their way yet. We always like to put it that way. Doesn't mean they won't, but they may not be. And I hate to say it, but it's the same rules apply. Um, you don't ever want to condemn them. You know what I'm saying? Judge not. But at the same time, your first responsibility is to save your soul. And if you are hanging around with cousins, for instance, I'm just saying as an example, that tend to use bad language, go to bad movies, maybe have a different skew of life, it's not helping you. And you're probably not helping them. So you're best off just making excuses not to hang around with them too much. And you know what? They will probably figure it out sooner or later. And you be as charitable as you possibly can to them, as kind. But that does not mean that you have to spend time with them. And you're best off not spending time with them. We had extended family members that we just loved so much, and we only spent time with them at birthday parties and had the party, and then went our separate ways. And I was never going to say no, I'm not going to go to this birthday party, but I was also not going to encourage my children to spend time with them, you know. So depending on the situation, sometimes you have to cut it off a little bit more strictly than that. For instance, if you know people aren't married and they're living together, you really shouldn't go to their house. I mean, you just really shouldn't, especially if you have children and you're bringing your children with you. How on earth do you explain that? You should not have to explain that. You're not the one who's wrong. They're the ones who are setting a bad example, and therefore you can't bring your children into that. You have a great responsibility especially as a parent, holy moly, but to your own soul too. I mean, consider yourself. If you're a young unmarried person, your child is your soul, and you are protecting that child. Okay. And then when you have children later on, you just carry that on, and you're protecting your other children too, your own soul and all your other little children. You're protecting them from danger. You're not going to take them to a lake with alligators and just say, well, we're just going to hang out in this lake and hope the alligators don't bite us. You're not going to do that. And you don't do that anymore with it. You do that less so with your souls. Your souls are eternal. You could get your foot bitten off. You get your soul in really deep water, you know, and you're responsible as a parent for that, especially, but for your own soul too. Don't hang out in crocodile infested waters, people. And that may be family members. It may be your next door neighbor, and you don't be mean to them. You don't even talk about them behind their backs. You just make space, and you figure out ways of making space. Then they will probably figure out that you're doing that. And if they can't figure out why you're doing that, then, they're not probably the sort that are going to be examining themselves very closely anyways. But yeah, it is one of the hardest things about living in the world and not being of the world, is that you do have to cut off worldly things and worldly people if you are going to be, not of the world.
Yeah, that goes along with what my dad always likes to say to my older brother and I. You can't have one foot in the church and one foot in the world. You have to go all the way this way. You can't
Yes,
just, yeah.
yeah, it's true. And I I shared a really, really good meme the other day. I love memes. Um, I know, it makes me a very weird old lady, but I love memes, and especially when they're really good teaching memes. And this one just said something to the effect of, "Don't think that you can stay on the fence. The devil owns the fence, because he does."
That's really good.
I've
Wow.
Yeah.
seen that meme before because I'm
Oh,
actually
really?
addicted to them as well. Yeah,
No,
Yep,
it's a
yep.
good one, and
it's
it's
so
true.
good. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta just make your choice and be strong and be brave and just, be a soldier for Christ. That's why you were confirmed. Be a
Yeah.
soldier. Yeah, don't be shy
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I'm gonna try another chapter. I looked at every single poem in that one I thought it was in. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. All right. So now moving on
I can
from
multitask here.
all right. So moving on a little bit from like the raising kids questions. We were wondering, how did you start doing the feast day quick takes? Like, how did you get that role in the Catholic Family Podcast?
Oh golly, how did I? Um, I think I don't know. I think that part of it was because all of the years that we homeschooled, which was most of my grown-up life actually, and even before that, because I taught in Catholic school for a couple years before I went to college and got married and everything. But we always started the day reading the lives of the saints. That was just part of the day. You learned about the saint of the day. That way you knew if you needed to call on somebody, all right, who's got extra pull in heaven today? It would be today St. Alphonsus Liguori. You find out who that is, and you make that a part of your life and your thoughts. And I think that it was a natural thing for me by the time Kevin had started the podcast. All my children were either completely grown up with families of their own. My youngest was in the minor seminary. My youngest two were in the minor seminary. And so I was with, okay, twiddling my thumbs, not really twiddling my thumbs, but yeah, kind of twiddling my thumbs. And the most natural thing for me to want to share was the lives of the saints. That seemed like that should be a part of everybody's day, and that was something that was easy for me to do. And just that, in that, I already had been studying the lives of the saints for, gosh, a long time, 30 years. And I like to write. I've always been a writer. So I love to research and see what I can find out, especially in the podcasts, that I didn't know before. So it's kind of a challenge to myself to look for something that I didn't know about a saint or a feast day before, and put that into a quick take. Sometimes they're not quick. Sometimes they're kind of longer than they are quick. But so I think that's, and then we were looking for content, or Kevin was looking for content at the time. And I think I just offered myself to do that. So yeah, and they started out, the first couple ones were really terrible. And I was just very, very unsure of myself. And we didn't really do pictures. We had the one picture, which was so much easier and quicker to do. But now I'm addicted to putting pictures in, because I like the pictures, but it takes a while to do. But it's really fun to find pictures too that I never saw before. So that's pretty much how it started. And then yeah, and I try to make sure that there's at least one a week. And we were kind of backlogging now, so it's much easier now to try to keep up doing them, so there's at least one a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
you do a
What were
really
you?
good job with them. I mean, Annie and I listened to your St. Philomena one,
Yeah.
and we kind of
Yeah,
copycatted
yeah. There's a
it
funny
for
story
our
behind that,
podcast.
actually.
Yeah, yeah, we thought it was good, but we were
So
told, oh, it's exactly like Mrs. Davis's. I'm like, oh well, but it was
yeah,
very good. You did a very good job at like covering all of it, even like these little intricate details that I
yeah.
didn't even know about for the longest time. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole family, we really enjoy listening to them. We try to listen to all of them if we can. And it's funny because you're now a big celebrity in my household. And I was telling my siblings I got to interview you today. And even like the littlest ones were like, you get to talk to the Lisa Davis? Like it was, and like the Christmas cribs too. Those were so good. My whole family loved listening to those. Those are really good. And my dad, my dad always says that Lisa Davis is the new age Butler. Um,
Oh, gee.
so
Yeah, no, that is way too high praise. But thank you. And you know what? It is the weirdest, most surreal thing too. It's really, it didn't even occur to me when I first started doing these, how weird a celebrity it is. I mean, granted, with a very select group of people, but like I was at the Fatima conference a couple years ago, and was just talking to a friend as we stood in line to get our dinner, and somebody comes running up to me and says, oh, I don't know your face, but I know that voice. It was like so weird. It's like, oh
funny.
no, you don't ask me for my autograph. I am not giving you my autograph. No, I'm kidding. But it is definitely uh, unexpected to be known by people, you know. And I have the worst memory. I'll remember your face always, but I won't remember your name. It's like, okay, the people I met at Fatima conference 2 years ago, I love you all very, very much. I am not going to remember your name, but they all know mine. So it's
Yeah.
it's like not fair.
Yeah.
Um, Usually people like if I say my name, usually everyone will like never remember it, which makes sense. It's not a really common name, but if they do remember it, then they always mispronounce it to some really strange pronunciation. Like I've gotten Gianna a bunch of times,
Oh
I've
yeah.
gotten Gianna, I've gotten like a
See,
bunch of other weird pronunciations. I'm like, where do you come up with
Oh,
this?
yeah. Yep.
see, but for me, it's a little bit easier if you have an unusual name. I'm more likely to remember it if
Mm,
it's unusual, but not necessarily. I really have a very regrettable memory. It's
that's
terrible.
okay.
Mean, I'll talk to my one of my younger cousins every once in a while, and she's got a memory like my grandma. So then she'll make fun of me for not remembering a bunch of different things, and I'll tell her, "Look, you need to be my reminder. Just let me know about something that I need to do, and I'll do
Right,
it."
right. Well, no,
Yeah.
see, seriously, once my children all moved away, my memory went with them because they were it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but well, I just have to write everything down and then I have to remember to look at it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I have like a wall. Actually, right here, I have a wall of sticky notes of things I need to get done. And it helps me remember it, but like I
Yep.
go through like at least like 10 sticky notes a day. Like I just
No,
they're
I'm the
just
same
all over
way.
my room.
It must be a sanguine thing. I'm the same exact way. I have little notes everywhere. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean
and
it
it's a
really
good
does
thing.
help you remember.
No, well, you got to figure out your method. I mean, I figure God must have given me this horrible memory for some reason, but all right, you figure it out, girl. And so,
Yeah.
yes, you have to figure it out. And then actually having the little alarm on your phone that just pops
Yes.
up on you, that is actually, for me, a really good thing because I would have forgotten all about today if that had not popped up.
Yeah. We actually had that little alarm thing too. Like it gives you like a little like 30-minute whatever like
Yep,
how long until you have the
just
interview
a
or whatever, but yeah.
heads up, a little heads
Yep.
up.
Yep.
Which is a good thing. I don't have children to nudge me anymore. So now my phone does. So yeah,
Yeah.
yikes. Let's hope nothing ever happens to phones or I'm in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Funny because my mom's been having a lot of problems with her phone recently. And so she'll like set like alarm clocks or whatever on her phone and they won't go off or like they'll turn
No,
off for some reason. So then, or like sometimes she won't even get a phone call. Like her
no,
phone won't even say that she got a missed call or anything. It just
no.
won't come through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that happens to me sometimes. And then you look like a jerk.
really.
It's like, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
really. I know. That's happened to me too. And I think that you do tend to start relying upon it, which may be a bad thing, but if you're somebody like me, you need to rely upon it. So, just don't break phone, please. Don't break. Just
Yep.
don't. And then, yeah, this is one of there are good and bad things about technology. I think maybe we were better off in a lot of ways, brain wise, without it. You know, I think
Definitely.
that, yeah, nobody memorizes things anymore. I used to know a lot of phone numbers by heart, and now I know two, my own and my husband's, and that's it. And if I lost my phone, I'd be in trouble.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's funny because for the longest time, I didn't even remember my own phone number. Like I
Yep,
had my mom's and my dad's memorized because I'm like, well, just in case of
you need that,
emergency.
Yeah.
Uh,
right?
Yeah.
yeah, but I remember somebody asking me like, "What's your phone number?" I'm like, "That's a good question.
Let
I
me
have no
check.
idea."
Yep.
The
Oh
only
yeah.
reason I know mine is because I've had it for 20 years now. So
Oh,
I
okay.
better know
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to give up on this. This is going to drive me crazy. I'm going to find this poem and send it to you girls later
All right, perfect. We could like put it
because
on the episode.
yep, it's really good and it's kind of funny, but I can't find the darn thing. I'm driving myself crazy looking for it. But
That's
anyway,
okay.
yeah, so just clip all that stuff out. I will find it. It is in this book somewhere. I got the
Sounds
right
good.
book. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead. Is that all you had?
Oh no, we have some more. She's probably
We do
just
Oh,
have
not
some
here
more.
yet.
okay.
How do you come up with the saints and like the ideas to talk about?
Oh, well, let's see. At the beginning of every month, I go through my calendar and I mark every day that already has a quick take on it, and I look for big blank spaces. And
Oh,
Oh,
then,
okay.
yeah, and wherever there's a big blank space and there's no saint in there, I look through all those saints, and then usually it's just whoever jumps out at me. Like as soon as I told you, as soon as I found out about St. Martha and the Dragon, that was a no-brainer. We were definitely doing St. Martha and the Dragon. I usually just literally don't have enough hours in the day to do more than one a week, just because I have too many other things going on. And it usually takes me, I don't know, depending upon the podcast, some of them I'll take at least 2 days researching, sometimes more. And then it takes at least another day to pull all the pictures and to do the recording and then doing the editing. So 3 days at the minimum. Usually it's going to take more than that to just do the whole thing. And that's, also living my life, fitting it into the corners. So it takes a while to do. So I'm only going to do one. And sometimes it's painful because there are other saints. It's like, oh, rats, I wanted to do that one. Like St. Camillus de Lillis came up. It's like, I really wanted to do that one. I just did not have enough time to do it. And then as far as just finding the material, and sometimes I'll just be scanning around or just doing basic reading, and I'll run across a saint and find out something about them that I didn't know, like St. Martha and the Dragon. And then that will spur one. It's like, okay, well, we're going to do that one. And then what I'll do is, all right, so where I'm sitting right now, I've got, let's see, the 1920s version, I think, of the Butler's Lives of the Saints, which is in 5 volumes. And then I've got the 1910s version of the Catholic Encyclopedias over there. And then I have over my shoulder here, I've got the liturgical year, which I draw from a lot. I love Dom Guéranger. And then I've got all of the old, the Joan Carroll Cruz books, like the Incorruptibles, the Miraculous Images of Our Lady. What else have I got over there? Mysteries, Marvels, and Miracles in the Lives of the Saints. I've got another book that's a really old one that was my mother's, on the 14 Holy Helpers, that I can draw from. And so I'll go to all of these old, tried and true sources first, pull everything down I can from them. And then after I take all my notes, then I'll start putting it together. And then last, what I'll usually do is go into the internet and just poke around and see if there is an old legends, for instance, or things that aren't just going to pop up in Butlers. That once I find it, I can start researching that to see if I want to put that into the story, or just introduce it as a legend, and sometimes it will be, and sometimes it won't be mentioned in like the Catholic Encyclopedia. But then what I'll do is I'll get into the depths of the internet and start doing cross-referencing amongst different places just to see, okay, where did this information come from? Did somebody just make it up? Do not trust Google. Do not trust Wikipedia, ever, ever, ever. You can go into something like Wikipedia for, I will look at it sometimes just to cross-reference dates, places and dates and things like that, because it's really easy to reference. It's just laid out easy. So sometimes I'll look at that just for that kind of a thing. But the way Google is, and it is not your best research tool, because it is 100% bought and paid for. It's not good. But you have to go back 3-4 pages into the search engine before you get away from the garbage, And one another thing that I have found out too is that it's unbelievable how people's scholarship has just fallen. It's just terrible. You'll have somebody who calls themselves a Catholic site, quote, quote, a Novus Ordo Catholic site, and they will pull up a life of the saint, and they will have a little clip, and I will recognize it as coming from straight, usually from the encyclopedia, maybe from Alban Butler, and they won't give attribution for it. They just plunk it out there. And then you'll see the same thing over and over and over again, or you'll find somebody else's rendition of the life of a saint. And then you'll see that one lifted and copied without attribution all over the internet. And nobody gives anybody credit. It's just insane how bad it is. The internet is not your best resource. It's sometimes a good place to look for information that you can then go into good Catholic books to verify it. Needless to say, we've got a bazillion Lives of the Saints floating around here too. We've got a couple different libraries that I can draw from, but I usually don't have time. You see how long it took me looking for that poem in this book? That's me looking for a little snippet that I'm like, I want to try to verify this. I can't find it in this like 400-page tome on St. Teresa of Avila. What are the odds? You're not going to find it.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of how I sort of do it. And then I always read it out loud to my husband so that he can edit me. And then I hope like crazy that I don't make a stupid mistake. I have before. Um, and yeah, and that it's editable, about editing, just clipping things out
Oh
and
yeah.
making patches. It's like sometimes I'll just read right off of the script because I write it all out and I'll be reading right off it and my brain, I don't know what I do. I'll just put the wrong word in there, and then I don't even know I'm doing it. And then I'm reading it back out loud later and it's like, what? I didn't even know I said that. And then I have to go back and fix it and clip it out. Sometimes I miss it and then people correct me, which is great. I hope they will. If I make a mistake, do please let me know. If I mispronounce something, yeah, well, I am going to mispronounce French words.
Yep.
It's just not going to come out right. I try. But anyway, so
I feel like
that's the piece
French
that
words.
go ahead.
Yeah. French words are like the hardest for me to
Ah,
Yeah.
pronounce. Like,
no,
Yeah.
how do you, I don't know, like the letters don't match up with how you're saying it, and I don't know, it's so
yeah,
confusing.
I
Yes. And
know.
there's so many saints from France, so it's like, how do you?
Yeah,
Right.
I know. People just have to understand that there's going to be a certain amount of Americanizing because American, you know,
Yeah.
if you are French and you are trying to pronounce an American word, it's not going to come out the way I say that American word. And it goes the other way too. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it like I'm French because yeah, sorry guys. I sometimes try. Sometimes I think I'm better off not trying because I probably sound ridiculous to somebody in France. It's like, yeah, just don't try.
That's funny.
Hmm.
So I was wondering, do you take requests for saints to do?
Yeah, I do. I can't always promise it. It just depends on my life. I just got a request the other day and it's like, yes, I know that saint. In fact, that's on my list to do that saint. So sometimes I will, or if somebody is interested in it and I'll look it up and just see if I've got time. A lot of the time it's just time, whether I can. But yeah, yeah, definitely.
All
And
right.
especially if I know it's something that somebody's interested in, then that gives me more motivation. So yeah, yeah, feel free. Send me requests.
All right, I will definitely be doing that. I know my siblings, they love all of your saint stories, so and they have my little sister Mary, I'm pretty sure you did an episode on Saint Scholastica, right? Or
Yeah, I think
okay.
I did. Yeah. I'm starting to forget. It's been 2 and 3 years now, so I
Yeah.
think I did Saint Scholastica.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
well,
awesome.
my little sister loves her. And she's like sad there's not a lot of information out there about her because there's really just like the one story about her um like praying to
And
God that Saint Benedict would stay and then the storm came, but yeah,
yeah,
so she
yeah.
was very thankful
No,
you did a story on Saint Scholastica.
no, I loved that one. And she's a big saint. I mean, to
Yeah.
be that close to Saint Benedict, I mean,
Hmm.
that's significant. I mean, that she got her way over Saint Benedict. That's
Yeah.
pretty significant, right? But
Yep.
yeah, no, I that's one I've always liked her too. And that's another reason, if there's one that's just kind of dear to my heart, or sometimes I'll come across ones that I just don't know that much about, and I just would like to know more about, like Saint Alphonsus de Liguori. I did him a couple of years ago because, you always hear his quotes, but he is a doctor of the church. He's a big one, but I didn't know that much about his life. So that was a fascinating one for me. I wanted to know more about, who was the man behind the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to kind of like I guess you could say raising kids questions, how do you like handle giving your children to God? Because I can't imagine that's easy, but
Wow. You mean as religious?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I don't think it was to me, it was not hard. And I always wonder why that's hard. Um, See, for me, I think that all I really ever wanted for my children was that they do God's will. They were going to be happy and fulfilled and save their souls if they found out what God wanted them to do, what He made them to do. And once they figured that out, then I'm good with it. I don't have a preference over children becoming religious or children, having the married life or the single life, though so far none of those. Well, my youngest isn't married yet. He's going into seminary in September. Um, and to find out, to put the question out there. Okay, God, what do you want me to do? So yeah, for me it wasn't hard. There are, I don't think it's harder than it is for me to live 8 hours, 6 hours away from my grown-up children. We have a son who lives in Minnesota, and we don't get to see him very often. We see him about as often as we see Father Philip, who's in Spokane. We see Father Philip once or twice a year. We see our oldest son and his family once or twice a year. So I didn't really give that up. I just talk on the phone with them equally, about the same amount. It's um, in a way, I'm less concerned about my religious children because I know that their whole life is built around saving their souls, where it's, I think, harder when you're in the secular life to save your soul because you could so easily get sidetracked. Your whole life is not around saving your soul. It should be, but it's not your dedication. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I worry probably less about my religious children, and I'm sure I do, than I do about my children who are raising families and going through all the struggles of raising a family. So yeah, it's not hard. I don't think it's hard. I think it's an honor,
Okay.
if God chooses your children to work for Him, or to be an altar priestess, that's the highest honor. But you know what too? It's also the highest challenge. When you, and any family of religious will tell you this, that when you have religious in your family, the devil works very hard to goof you up, to upset your family, to throw a wrench in the works, so to speak, and he will find whatever the weakest link is and will exploit it to try to upset the equilibrium of the family so that it upsets the religious. Um, if you have very strong religious, it doesn't work that way because then the religious just get praying, and once you get on the sisters' prayer list, yeah, you're good.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good way to look at it too.
Hmm.
Let's see. Okay, so we have two questions left. And this question we ask on every interview. Um, and usually this is kind of like an icebreaker at the end of an interview, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It gets a lot of people laughing and some sour faces. But all right, so do you like pineapple on pizza?
You know what? I would eat pineapple on pizza, but I would not go out of my way for pineapple on pizza.
Okay, I'll take it. That's a good enough answer. We have people who absolutely hate it, and I can't live without pineapple on pizza. It's my favorite food. It's so good, and I'm very passionate about this. I shouldn't be, but I think it's because of my mom. She was like, "Oh, Annie, you should try pineapple on pizza," and now it's like I love pineapple on pizza. So people who say they don't like it, it's just I can't.
Well,
They just
yeah.
don't
I
have
mean,
taste.
and you know what? If you're the kind of person that doesn't mind experimenting with food, so if you like savory and sweets together, and not everybody will even try savory and sweets together. Like a lot of Asian cuisine has sweet and savory, and I love Asian cuisine. I mean, well, think about it. When you make a ham, a fancy ham, you put pineapple on it. You know, haven't you seen that?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
yeah, and it's good. So yeah, I would eat it. I don't think I would go out of my way to order it though.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's been
All right. So for our last question, do you have any advice to teenagers?
To teenagers in general?
Yeah.
What, didn't I just do that?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think, like I said, one of the most important things that you can do is make good friends, keep good friends. Um, no matter what happens, start and end your day with prayer. It doesn't have to be a long, complicated, difficult prayer, but you are making a statement not only to the devil, you're not only sending up a word to God to say, good morning, good evening, good night, thank you, but you're also saying something to your own brain when you begin and end your day with God. You're setting your own self up to succeed in your spiritual life. If you and then throw that rosary in the middle there somewhere. Even if you're in your car, if it's hard to say the rosary and you think that you have to be kneeling down in front of a shrine to do it, that's ideal. That's the best way. But if you can't, get that rosary in there. Get it in there somewhere. Shoehorn it in. You can find time. If you do these things, if you say your morning prayers, say your evening prayers, if you are faithful to the rosary, you are going to be fine. There isn't anything that you can't tackle. There are no problems that you're not going to be able to figure your way out of, because the Blessed Mother is going to be right there behind you. Um, and that's the thing I think is taken for granted when you leave the house, especially, and you're no longer with your mom and dad who start you out in the morning with your prayers and end your day with your prayers, and you do that because your family does it. The most important thing you can do going forward is to make that your habit, make that your is the thing you always hear about. What are you doing for yourself? Okay, the only thing really important to do for yourself is to work on your spiritual life. And the best way to do that is to not forget about praying, not forget about the most important person in your life is God. I mean, all he's got to do is look away and you're toast, right? So the most important thing you can do is, keep that prayer life going. Even if it's a few words, it does not have to be, big and impressive. You're not impressing anybody. It's just between you and God. Just say good morning, say good evening, say thank you for this beautiful day. Help me get through this rotten day, whatever it is. Just make sure that you bracket your life with those prayers and don't ever let anybody, or then don't let yourself get so distracted by other things that it becomes unimportant to you. And if you do that, everything else is going to come together. Choosing friends, whatever the other difficulties are in growing up, and there are many. If you keep your prayer life together, it's all going to be good. You're going to be fine.
All
Thank
right,
you.
that's really good advice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so that wraps up this interview, and thank you so much for coming on. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you guys. Thank
Nice
you for
talking to you
asking
too.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so that wraps up this episode, and thank you guys so much for listening. And again, a huge thank you to Lisa Davis for coming on because that was a really big deal to us. So thank you so much for coming on.
We don't have a next episode planned at the moment. We might not post next week or the week after that or the week after that. So, just stay, yeah,
Like we said, it's gonna be
stay tuned.
super inconsistent, but we'll try. We'll try. We
Yeah,
really will try.
yeah. So this is our first interview that we did in a month or so.
Literally a
So,
month. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't like as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be,
Oh yeah,
I
I was
guess.
super nervous, but it was good.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. Annie was pretty nervous.
Well,
I was like,
it's the Lisa Davis. Like this is a one in a lifetime opportunity to get to talk to. Like,
right? Well, I just think it's so funny how when we first started the podcast, we were like, oh, maybe we could like interview Kevin Davis at some point. And it was like this whole thing where it's like, yeah, it's not going to happen. We're just two teenagers. And then Kevin actually said yes to like coming
yeah.
on. And then we got Lisa Davis on.
And it's just
And,
like, what?
we've gotten like Father McKenna on.
Father
Bishop
Zepeda.
McGuire, Father
Yep.
Cepeda,
Bishop
Father
McConaughey.
Larrabee,
Yep.
Bishop McConaughey, Father Simpson, Father Brigham. Like we've got all sorts of people on, and obviously the teenagers too. But I mean, the teenagers were a little easier. But
Yeah. No offense to the teenagers, you're just easier to talk to because you're not celebrities to us yet. But
not
yeah.
yet. This is why you get the autographs now, because
Exactly, because you
then
never
once they
know.
become famous, I did that to my uncles once because when my one of my uncles when he was younger he played football and the other one played
Mm.
baseball. So and they both got like these like baseball like they got the little cards at the end of the years of like themselves on it. And I was like, hey, sign this for me in case you become famous. Neither of them are famous. Oh, like one works at AT&T and T and the other has a family and is doing something else. I don't know. But so it shows you you're not always going to be famous.
Yeah.
You know, things like this are going to happen, but
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you all have an amazing week. And oh, I should probably mention the Feast of the Assumption is coming up really soon. I think that'll be next week from when this comes out. So, yes, I hope you all have a very blessed Feast of the Assumption. Right? Am I right or am I dumb? I think I'm right?
yes, you're right. Yeah,
Okay.
I was trying to
But,
think.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
You were looking at me and I'm like, wait, am I dumb? Like, what is happening?
You're right. You actually got everything right. I mean, you even got the episode right. Like, just
Yeah,
yeah.
we're on
So
top of it.
yeah. I mean, you are just like guessing as I go here. Okay, but yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, hope you have an amazing week. And as always, God bless and Saint Philomena.
Powerful is God, pray for us.